In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
Well, guys, it's official. Mark Carney has been unelected Prime Minister of Canada. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jonny Says So, episode 13. Mark Carney officially unelected Prime Minister of Canada. This is absolutely insane, guys. I'm sure everybody's been watching it tonight, and, today was supposed to be a celebration. Justin Trudeau's decade-long reign of terror is officially over. But don't celebrate just yet, because he has successfully selected his long-term advisor, Mark Carney, to be coronated the next Prime Minister of Canada, with 150,000 votes. That's it. That's not how many votes he got total, guys. That is how many people were involved in this process. So to put that in perspective, the city of Regina, Saskatchewan, has a larger population than that. Let that sink in for a minute, guys. Now, I'm predicting that very shortly, you're going to start to see the legacy media start to go into overdrive, trying to explain to you that it is not such a big deal that Mark Carney is unelected. They're going to be going with the narrative that Pierre Poilievre is a career politician and that he, being such an expert in economics in the private sector, is going to be the more logical choice for the job. And this kind of gaslighting is just ridiculous, guys. Like, at least a career politician pretends to be accountable to somebody. I mean, from a more classical liberal or libertarian perspective, I think some of us can agree at least that a central banker is far, far worse and more unaccountable than a career politician. But I digress. I want to take you directly to Mark Carney's remarks just after he was coronated. So let's go check that out.
And the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. Mark.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Family, religion, friendship. These are the three demons you must slay if you wish to succeed in business.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there. Wrong clip. Let me pull that up here. Just 1 second.
2 months ago, I put up my hand to run for leader because I felt we needed big changes. But big changes guided by strong Canadian values.
And today, I will use those values again as we face this most serious crisis in a generation.
So my government will immediately eliminate the divisive consumer carbon tax on families and farmers and small and medium-sized businesses.
He's going to remove the divisive consumer carbon tax on families, farmers, and small and medium-sized businesses. What took you so long? And what led to this? I mean, I think I brought up this point before, guys, but it bears repeating. For years, they were saying that this was the only option to deal with the existential crisis of climate change. What happened? Could it have been that you were tanking in the polls? That's absolutely what it is. So, I don't know how people can go on to trust these people after lying to you and gaslighting you about this for all of these years. Mark Carney has actually been far worse than Justin Trudeau on the issue of a consumer carbon tax. Does anybody remember 2023 when it was becoming obvious that Justin Trudeau was losing a lot of foothold in Atlantic Canada because of this issue? People were getting very angry because it was getting more and more expensive to heat their homes. So Justin Trudeau announced, much to the disappointment of the rest of the country, who is also suffering, that he was going to give a little bit of a break to Atlantic Canadians on the carbon tax on their home heating oil. And Mark Carney came out against it. Look at this, guys. Former Bank of Canada Governor Carney questions carbon price break on home heating oil. Liberal government announced heating oil would be exempt from carbon tax for 3 years. Mark Carney pressed for Canada to stick with predictable climate policy on Tuesday as he questioned the federal government's move to lift the carbon price on home heating oil. The former central banker, there it is again, guys, who has long been rumored to be a possible future Liberal leadership candidate, said he would have looked for different ways to provide financial support for Canadians other than the government's chosen path. He didn't think that poor people trying to heat their homes deserved a break on the carbon tax. There is a reason that I pulled that Mr. Burns clip up. He is completely cold, calculated, and uncaring about the needs of Canadians. And this is going to continue into the future until we get an election. Let's get back to his speech.
And we will stop the hike in the capital gains tax. And to respond, my government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Donald Trump.
We're back to the tariffs again, guys. This is the Liberals' favorite issue and what they are going to use as a wedge to divide Canadians further and cling to power. And I would like to point out that Mark Carney has his own tariff ambitions. Check this out, guys. Carney says he'll scrap the carbon tax, introduce green incentive program if he becomes leader. Now, when he says that he's going to scrap the consumer carbon tax for farmers, small and medium-sized businesses, he is going to completely hammer down on the large-scale businesses, which, you guessed it, are going to pass those costs on to the consumer. And it's not only that, guys, but he is actually going to be doing tariffs of his own. That's right. Carney says he'll scrap the carbon tax, introduce green incentive program if he becomes leader. The consumer carbon tax isn't working, it's become too divisive. Liberal leadership candidate Mark Carney says he will abandon his party's consumer carbon tax and replace the policy with an incentive program that rewards Canadians for making green choices. He also said that he would work with other like-minded countries to introduce a carbon border adjustment, effectively a tariff. Right there, guys, highlighted, effectively a tariff that would ensure countries with weaker climate change policies face financial barriers when they try to export products to Canada. I wonder what Donald Trump is going to do with his retaliatory tariffs. Now, this is the game that they all play. At this point, every country is just going to say that these are retaliatory measures. And make no mistake, guys, Donald Trump did start this. Now, I'm not a fan of tariffs. Again, I'm coming from a more libertarian perspective. I believe that tariffs are just another form of taxation. They are a hidden tax. And what do we say about that, guys? Taxation is theft. And I'm quite serious when I say that the Liberal government is absolutely loving this trade war situation with America because it has completely saved their ambitions of staying in power. And they might use it to seize further power. I'm going to show you what I mean right here. Mark Carney says he will invoke emergency powers to fight America.
And something that my government is going to do is to use all of the powers of the federal government, including the emergency powers of the federal government, to accelerate the major projects that we need in order to build this economy and take on the Americans. And something that my...
Now, I wonder what he means by that. I certainly hope it doesn't mean delaying the election under the pretense of an emergency, because we could not have an election until October of this year. Now, it remains to be seen whether the Conservatives will be successful in calling a non-confidence motion, if Jagmeet Singh will back it, or if Parliament will even resume on March 24th. We very well could have an unelected Prime Minister decide that it's too much of an emergency to have a debate in the House of Commons. I've never wanted to be wrong about something more in my entire life. Now, guys, I want to take you to some of another tariff situation that's going on. Now, Team Canada has been quite active in taking on the Americans with the retaliatory tariffs, but I wonder what the response is going to be to the Chinese tariffs. Has anybody heard of these? China hits back at Canada with fresh agricultural tariffs from March 8th. China announced tariffs on over $2.6 billion worth of Canadian agricultural and food products on Saturday, retaliating against levies Ottawa introduced in October. So guys, Donald Trump isn't the only one that is using tariffs to, reach their political goals, whatever those might be. We do it too. Now I want to switch gears here and take you to something hilarious that just came across my feed. Let's go check in with the Pleb Reporter. Shout out to him, guys. If you're not following him, you really should. Pierre Poilievre's rally had more people than the Liberal Party leadership convention. Even the CBC admits it. This is hilarious, guys.
But Carney has left no doubt as to what the party wants right now. They just got to translate that now. Is this something Canadians want? Is the guy we saw speaking there who Canadians want to turn to in this moment in time? Because Pierre Poilievre is a career politician. That's Carney's criticism of him. But career politicians are good at politics. Yeah. They're good at campaigning, and they're good at getting elected. And that is something Pierre Poilievre knows how to do.
Yeah,
and adapting to different opponents.
Absolutely.
And Pierre Poilievre did hold a rally today that was bigger than what we had here. It was more than 2,000 people, and it was his regular Canada First rally that he's holding now.
And this is what I mean when I say that Mark Carney might just use emergency powers to stall the election or even keep Parliament closed for longer. Like, guys, all of this enthusiasm is astroturfed. Pierre Poilievre can hold a bigger rally than the announcement of the new Prime Minister of Canada. These people are just completely fake. And speaking of Pierre Poilievre, I was a little bit critical of him in my last video, but that's because I want him to do better. I don't think he's seizing all of the opportunities that he needs to go up against these people. But I want to take you to a little clip that he put out earlier today that I think you should see. Let's go check that out.
And now our Liberal friends, after they've caused all this damage, are going to pull a sneaky trick tonight. They're going to try to get elected for a fourth term. By replacing Justin Trudeau with his economic advisor, Mark Carney. Carney's advice drove up taxes, housing costs, and food prices, while he personally profited from moving billions of dollars and thousands of jobs out of Canada to the United States. Working for Trudeau, Carney made Canada weaker and poorer. Working for himself, Carney made the United States richer and stronger. And for the first time in our history, Canada will have a sneaky prime minister with millions of dollars of financial interests that go directly against our national interest. And make no mistake, Donald Trump will have a big smile on his face as he exploits all of Carney's many conflicts to attack Canadian workers and Canadian jobs. But we Conservatives won't let either of them do it. We will put Canada first.
Now, what he's talking about there, guys, is the terrible energy policies of Justin Trudeau and, by extension, Mark Carney that has left us in this weakened state where we could be exploited by Donald Trump's administration in the first place. And he's also referring to Mark Carney shutting down Canadian energy products while investing in them in other countries. Don't believe me? let's go check out this old clip of Bitcoin Millhouse absolutely taking him to task on this.
Do you support the Prime Minister's decision to veto the Northern Gateway pipeline, Mr. Carney?
I understand the veto of the Northern Gateway pipeline.
You support it?
Given both environmental and commercial reasons.
Do you support it?
I think it was sensible. I wasn't involved in the decision, but I think it was the right decision.
And yet your company has invested billions of dollars in oil companies in both Brazil and the UAE to buy pipelines. You bought billions of dollars of pipelines as a company in the last 5 years. Do you support those investments?
Mr. Poilievre, there is a global energy system, and one of the issues, I'm trying to explain a bit of how the economy works. One of the
Thank
issues,
you so much.
It may help.
I love how he says there, thank you so much. Like, this is the arrogance of Mark Carney. He thinks he's some genius economist and that everybody else is just dumb.
One of the issues for this committee in thinking about a sustainable transition.
Do you support it?
Where is Canada's role in those as energy transitions from fossil fuels to renewables? And in different jurisdictions, into different geography, it matters. It matters, and this is a fundamental point.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. This is a fundamental. You're finally getting to a point.
You've exceeded
that
the
is
time.
relevant to this committee's inquiry.
What you're saying is you oppose pipelines in Canada, but you support them in the UAE and in Brazil. That's what you've actually said.
There are specific.
That's your double standard.
It is not a double standard.
It is a double standard.
No, it's not.
You make billions of dollars off foreign pipelines.
How is that not a double standard? These people are just so unbelievable in their arrogance. And this is where we're at, guys. I just wanted to highlight some of the alarming things about Mark Carney. And I'm going to be doing that in the, hopefully, just days and weeks ahead. Because fingers crossed we can get an actual election soon. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm very concerned about having an unelected globalist sitting in the Prime Minister's chair. And that's my show for tonight, guys. I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of all this? Do you think we're going to get an election soon? Do you think Mark Carney's going to declare an emergency and cling on to power as long as he possibly can? And as always, guys, please like and subscribe if you enjoy the videos. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.